Well, it gives me great pleasure to say hello to Jessica Tyrrell. Hello, Jessica. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
Obviously, in the series of Through Their Eyes, we're going to have a conversation with Jessica about how she's developed in her career, what she's learned along the way, what's gone well and what perhaps hasn't gone so well. And if you could turn the clock back, sort of what advice would you wish you had have been given, and what advice you have been given that you've really, really liked. And then obviously to finish off with, how does Jessica see the future in terms of developing her career and future-proofing herself to the future? So the first question is, could you just give us a brief overview of your career to date and to where you and what you're doing now? Because I find what you do is really, really interesting.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think maybe it will make most sense if I actually start with where I am now and then give you a little bit of a reflection back.
Okay.
So right now I work for Toolshed. Toolshed, we are a social enterprise. So we train young people and we run 3 different programs. One is Construction Centre, where I'm based right now today. We run a year-long program giving young people a taster of painting and decorating, tiling, plumbing and carpentry. And then our second program is the Work and Study program, where we work with young people one-on-one to teach them English and maths. And then we find them a relevant work placement 3 days a week for a year. Now, with the work placement, David, I tend to say we treat it a bit like a dating agency. We really try and understand the young person, what they want to get into, what their interests are, but also what kind of environment would be suitable for them.
Yeah.
And we don't always get it 100% perfect, but we try our best to really make that match. And then thirdly, we run a program called Achieve, which is for young people with additional needs. And we have set up a shipping container that we've decked out a bit like a flat. And we teach the young people how to cook, how to do their washing, general life skills.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really exciting.
Yes.
Toolshed, we were set up by David, our founder, who's a psychologist, back in 2015.
Yeah.
He, whether genius or madness, I'm not quite sure, but asked me if I would be game to help him set up back in 2015. And now I have the absolute pleasure of setting up Toolshed in Berkshire. I, as you know, David, am a Reading girl, born and bred. So it's something that's really special to me to get to do this now in my hometown, a company that I love, in a place that I love.
Yeah.
So I started in Toolshed with David, helping him set it up back in 2015. And then I went away for a bit and went into the commercial world, dipped my toe in. But my head may have left, but my heart never did. So it feels so good to be back. It feels like I'm home, which is a really, really special thing. So after I left university, I thought I wanted to be a teacher, but the number one thing I knew I wanted to do was go traveling with one of my best friends. So we spent 6 months saving. I had 3 jobs. In the day, I worked in a call centre. In the evenings, I worked in a pub, and I also taught swimming lessons in my spare moments as well, just to try and save as much money as I could. It was really interesting, actually, that when I went into a recruitment agency to get a job, and I said, I'll do anything, but please, I just don't want to be in a call centre. I walked out of that recruitment agency with an interview for a call centre and had the interview the next day and then started the day after that. And actually it was so much fun. It was really, really good fun. I'm not a money orientated person, which we'll probably come to in a bit as well, because that does feature in my story.
Yeah.
But I had a target to reach, and my my friend Kate was there saving as well, and we would have weekly meetups where we would discuss how much we'd saved and what we were going to do with that money. South America was calling, and so I got into the call center, and I was rubbish. I was so rubbish. So I used to stay late, not every evening, but the evenings I had a bit of time before I started my shift at the pub. And I asked the top sales guy there, can I just listen in to some of your calls?
Yeah.
And I realised I was so paralysed by the fact I didn't know all the information. I was sat there trying to learn it, trying to learn the script. And the biggest lesson he taught me was, actually, you don't need to know all the answers, but you do have to listen. And that's always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Before that, I genuinely thought that sales was talking and having all the answers and having all the information. And then, how do you know what you're going to sell if you don't know what they need or what they
Exactly.
want?
Yeah, their needs, wants, and desires, and then you can talk about what you've got to offer based on their wants and needs. Yeah, I mean that's very valuable, and I think that environment, you must have learnt loads about yourself as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
learned so much about myself. And actually, I used to get the calls done, hit my targets. And then the bit I loved, David, was then getting to train the new starters.
Wow. Yeah.
Because it was new, and I absolutely loved that bit. And there was a guy called Jonathan Smith, who was a learning and development. And he inspired me. Actually, we're still good friends now. We still,
Good.
he's like, we've done a lot of work
Yeah.
since those days. But yeah, that
Yeah.
was
Brilliant. So did you get to do your travelling?
yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
went away for 6
Okay.
months.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So is there anything, I mean, making that transition from your education into the working environment, and you've now sort of, as you say, found what you really want to do. Why is it that you enjoy and have a passion for what you do now? Because I think I get to talk to lots of different people and coach lots of people, and they say, well, is it okay to enjoy my job, or am I supposed to enjoy my job? And you obviously do have a huge passion. So what does that mean to you, doing something you've got a real passion for?
It is just, do you know, I always, the night before, especially on a Sunday, I take more time doing it. Always the night before, I look and see, okay, what does tomorrow have in store? Have I got everything ready? And on a Sunday, before the week ahead, that's slightly more involved. And I just sat there yesterday looking at this week thinking, my gosh, I am so lucky. And why was it that I was looking at this week thinking I'm so lucky? It's varied. I get to do lots of different things. I work with amazing people in a cause that I believe in, I really believe in. And I think for when your work is aligned with your values as well, there's something personally, I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, but I find that's a really powerful combination. And I think when you get to grow, like this role, you're there to support young people in their growth.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
actually, that's only half the story. You grow with them. They teach you as much, if not more, than you teach them. And I think we'll probably get on to this, as I know this is something you and I both have in common. The real belief and the real investment in growth, like how that is, I know for me that is one of my values, to always be learning and growing.
Yeah. And you're not talking about financial growth, you're talking about the
No,
growth of a person.
yeah,
Because sometimes we get that a bit mixed up, don't we, in life?
And I have made that mistake. I really have made that mistake.
And definitions of success and growth is all materialistic and financial based, whereas you're talking about, you know, being a better person and doing what's important to you, and also adding value to other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
your students, where do you get most of your students from? What sort of environments are they from?
Oh, great question. Do you know, it's really varied. A lot of our young people, school wasn't for them. School's amazing, and I'm always the first to admit I thrived at school. I was so lucky. I absolutely loved it, but it is not for everyone. The environment is designed in a way that probably if you're an auditory learner, and I am,
Mm,
and you enjoy that kind of academic side of things, then great. But actually, if you're a young person who maybe you're a kinesthetic learner, maybe you learn by doing, or maybe you're more introverted, then actually this setup, it's not for everyone. And I think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
really important that as a society we admit that. I am not in any way, shape, or form slagging off our school system, because we've got a fantastic school system and
yeah.
we are really lucky to have it. But that doesn't mean it suits everybody.
That's correct. Yes, yeah, yeah,
So if you want to be doing things, if you learn by trying it out and putting it into action, or if you learn better in smaller settings and more intimate settings, or if you're, I don't know, you really know what career you want and you're just itching to get out there,
yeah.
then actually school can represent a bit of a hurdle that you have to
Yes, yeah,
just.
yeah. Because when you think about it, you know, you can actually have a career doing anything these days, can't you?
Mm,
I mean,
mm,
it's never been so diverse and
no.
so full of so many different types of opportunities. And when you know, sort of think about, I was having a conversation with somebody, and their son had gone to a very good school, and they'd paid a lot of money for him to go to this very good
Mm,
school, and
mm,
they were absolutely devastated when he became a YouTube manager for a band, a group, and he's done some brilliant stuff. It's really clever, and they were getting really sort of frustrated with him. I said, yeah, but that's a great definition of success.
yeah,
You know, Steven Spielberg had to start from somewhere. Um, and you know, we sometimes forget that there's so many other opportunities. It doesn't always have to be that academic approach. And I
yeah.
think, yeah, giving those opportunities to people who are sometimes very creative, they're just creative and like to work in different ways that
Mm,
maximizes their strengths.
yeah.
So along the way, is there any sort of particular good advice that you've been given from someone that's sort of to help mold and point you in the right direction?
Do you know, I am so lucky, David. My boss, David, our founder, is, I think he's, I mean, like a walking, talking Zen master.
Yeah,
And he introduced me to Frankl, the Austrian psychiatrist that survived 3 concentration camps.
yeah,
And there's a lot in there about really understanding your meaning.
yeah.
And what Frankl found was a lot of people that did survive the concentration camps survived with a really strong meaning. You know, maybe it was survived to see their family or survived to get back to their business.
Yeah.
But actually, really, really sadly, and something that's not talked about that much, is that a lot of those that did survive the concentration camps went on to die, whether that was through suicide or the like, because that meaning no longer existed. If they got out
Yes. Yeah.
and their family or their business was no longer there,
Yeah.
yet there were people, Frankel included, who left these concentration camps and went on to have the most extraordinary lives, and their meaning was higher than getting out and surviving for your family. It was getting out to thrive, you know, to really make sure that they made the best of their lives. And that's not to say there's right or wrong there, but it's just to step back and reflect on that and think, wow, the power of our minds,
Yeah.
our mindsets. I
Yes.
mean, these people had such a strong meaning. They survived what we can't even fathom.
Yeah.
And yet when that meaning was no longer there, they were no longer there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. That's very scary and quite sad, and but very, very interesting, and sort of put it into that 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 way. And obviously, in some ways, for yourself, working for some commercial companies and realizing, no, that isn't the way that I want to be and work, you've come back to what your passion is. As you said, you left it, but it didn't leave you.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and so what are the key bits that you particularly get the buzz from?
Oh my gosh, I absolutely get the buzz from working with the young people. Seeing them grow in confidence
Yeah.
is, it's like a drug to me, to be quite honest. It is just, and even if, it's not about getting the thanks, because that's not always there. Sometimes
Yeah.
it is, but it's not always. But just to see when they get something, or when they do something that a week, a month, a year ago they wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
I'm sure you, as a parent, and other parents out there, I'm not a parent myself, but I'm sure you get that same buzz
Oh
when
yes. Yeah.
you see them take their first step, or you see that. It's like, for me, it's like that.
Yeah.
That's a massive buzz.
But also, I mean, it is fascinating that, as you say, that confidence and that self-esteem part. Why is it so often, and I talk to a lot of school teachers about this when I do events in schools, when we're really young, we love doing show and tell. We can't wait to get up there and, well, can I do it this week? Can I do it this week? And then we hit a certain age of, I'm not doing that. And we don't like to talk in front of our peer groups. And the whole self-esteem sort of seems to drop down. And I would say that 95% of all my coaching conversations I've ever had throughout my career, when I've been coaching other people, 95% we end up talking about self-esteem and confidence. And why is that? I've never really quite understood why it is that self-esteem and confidence is always, and we're always worried about what other people say and do and things, and we can't, enjoy being ourselves a little bit more.
I have to say, and this isn't me trying to go for a plug here, David,
You crack on.
but for us, we've found, and David had spent 20 years experimenting with this before he started Toolset, that we have realized, unless that foundation is there, and
Yeah.
when I say foundation, I'm referring to that, the self-esteem, the confidence, understanding yourself,
Yeah.
knowing who that is, then actually the brightest, most able young people, and let's face it, they've all got strengths. They've
Yes. Yes.
all got something.
Yeah.
Absolutely every single young person we have ever worked with
Yeah.
has. And that is our job. It's finding out
What it is, yeah.
what
Well,
that's
helping them to find it in
exactly,
themselves.
helping them to find it. Exactly.
That's that eureka moment, isn't it? When they go, oh, I can do this, or I really enjoy doing this. Because I think that's always a definition of success. I've always said my definition of success is I enjoy what I do.
Mm,
Um, and I think, when, people leave you and they're going to go off and do something that they enjoy and got a passion for, it's a great definition of success,
mm, mm.
which is really important. So
Yeah.
how do you feel about your stall growing to continue this for the future? What are you doing to keep making sure that you keep developing yourself and future proofing yourself and your students? What does the future look like for them? Because obviously it's quite challenging times at the moment.
It is really challenging times, and actually, it's it's so relevant. And I do think there's a lot of age categories that are affected by this.
Yeah.
But the young people who were due to sit their GCSEs, and for us it's functional skills,
Yeah.
this summer, actually, that's a really, really tough time. You've been working towards something, you've been building towards something, and to have it taken away, I guess probably for most of us, our first reaction would be like, yes. But really, to realise, hang on a minute, what I've been working towards is not going to happen, and
Yeah.
what next? It's a really, really tricky situation to find themselves in. So for us, I guess we're quite lucky because we've always looked at things very holistically, and going back to the confidence and self-esteem that you mentioned, for us, it's always been about teaching our young people to be proactive, to go out there, have these conversations that need to be had. And resilience is
Yes.
one of the biggest things we teach. Like, we make a mistake, as you know, you and I were just recording this and you had to pause because I've made a massive mistake that I'm going to have to correct
Yeah.
when we finish. But actually, it's really important that I am vulnerable and I'm honest about that as well, with my young people, with my colleagues, with people like you, David, because actually we're not perfect, but we have to be resilient. Resilient doesn't mean you don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
It just means you learn from those mistakes. And the mistake that I've made, I'm already thinking in the back of my head, okay, how do I make sure that doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
And how do I correct the mistake I've made?
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just give us a bit of an overview, because you're based in High Wycombe at the moment, but you said you're opening up a new program in Reading.
Yeah.
So when does that go live? And have you got your students signed up for this? How does that all work?
Great question, thank you. Yeah, so I'm just in High Wycombe today, but I'm normally based out of the Curious Lounge in Reading. We've got an amazing, amazing venue. A big shout out to the Curious Lounge. They are 30-second walk from the train station in
Oh,
Reading,
wow.
so in a perfect location, and it's the most inspiring space to work. It's got a real heart at its centre. Even the tea that they serve is made by social enterprise, and the profits go back to Sri Lanka. Every element of it has been thought through by Lou and Matt, and our young people are really welcome there. So it's a space
Yeah.
that's very aspirational. There's regular talks going on, and it's a place where we teach our lessons.
Yeah. Brilliant.
We started with 7 students in January, and from September we're starting a brand new cohort. There's 5 teachers now in Reading, which is
Wow.
really exciting. And we've already hit our numbers in terms of referrals. So we're now saying to our referral partners, I had a meeting this morning, great, if you've got more young people, let us know, and we'll bring another teacher on board.
Wow. Great.
Yeah, so it's
Exciting times.
really, really exciting
Yeah.
times. Yeah,
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, are
yeah.
you happy for us to put a link on the YouTube channel for people just to contact you?
I'd love that.
Yeah, so we're more than happy to do that. People that are watching this or listening to this on the podcast, and feel that that's an environment that they'd like to get involved in and be part of, and can contact you and find out more about it. And
Yeah,
I know when we met sort of several years ago, and I got sort of briefly involved
yeah,
working with your students, and yeah, they were great.
yeah,
And
yeah.
just say, I think what I like about what you have said is that even when you're helping others and supporting others, you actually learn so much about yourself.
Mm,
And I'm sure you give them advice and encourage them to do things, and then you go home and think, perhaps I should do that for myself
mm,
as well. And I think that's
mm.
just so important that you have that open-mindedness, that I need to constantly be learning, which you've demonstrated, as well as helping other people, because you'll help others in the future. And and they come up with certain things that that's what I love about working with the young adults, is that they say things because they see things from a totally different perspective to the way I
Mm,
see it. And I
mm,
go, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that. That's a good idea.
mm,
And
mm.
that's the bit I particularly like, that obviously, you benefit from as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's so true, isn't it? To
yeah.
see things from another perspective is such a gift, isn't it?
Well, I call it free learning.
Mm, mm,
I talk a lot about on some of my YouTube videos about free learning, and it's just you know, and learning from the different generations, even if it
Yeah.
was from my 93-year-old auntie, who unfortunately left us last year. But and you know, she's taught me loads. And yeah, young adults I work with in schools, they all get you think, all the different generations just see it from a different perspective, and sometimes we don't embrace that different thinking. We seem to sort of like to categorize people into generations instead of learning from
Mm.
them.
Oh my God, I have to tell you, I saw, it must have been a couple of years ago now, in Scandinavia, I can't remember which country, but they paired up, so young adults like the young people that we work with the older generation like your aunt,
Yeah.
and they created a buddy system.
Wow.
So the young people would go out and do their shopping for them and then come and sit and have cups of tea with them. And they both learned from each other. And it became such a powerful program. It was actually set up because they were short on carers in the nursing homes, and the older people were getting lonely. And the young adults, I love
Wonderful.
that term, by the way, the young adults actually could have done with a bit of purpose and a bit of meaning. And I just thought, what a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful setup.
Yeah.
Mm.
Brilliant. Good.
Mm.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time today. It's been absolutely wonderful to spend time, you know, reconnecting with you and finding out more of what you're doing. And
Yeah.
yeah, we must keep a little bit more in contact and, you know, meet up again when I'm over, when we can travel to Reading easily.
Yeah, come to the Curious Lounge.
I
I'll show
will
you
do. I
around.
will do. No, I'd love
You'll
to
love
do
it.
that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Take
David.
care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.